Welcome everybody to the DC New 52 review. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode. I am your host, Pauly DC, and let's get into another one of these things. Today, I will review Supergirl Volume 1. It was titled Last Daughter of Krypton, and it was written by Michael Green and Mike Johnson, with art by Mahmud Asrar, and the first 7 issues were released between November 2011 to May of 2012. Supergirl, or Kara Zor-El, was a slight revamp from the one that showed up in Superman number 123, August 1958, by Otto Binder and Dick Sprang, this version being Superman's cousin, appearing first in Action Comics number 252, May 1959, by Mr. Binder and Al Pastino. Similar to Kal-El, she was sent away from home planet Krypton by her parents as it expired, and I'd like to mention some unique traits about her, but Kara is a blonde female Superman. Her power set, weaknesses, and as just mentioned, origin is the same as his. Now, you obviously don't need some guy covering a small pocket of DC history to tell you this character also has a very chaotic past. Quite a few aliases and backstories. Power Girl and Supergirl are sometimes one and the same. Things just got so mangled that it was decided to have her totally eliminated, which happened in the Crisis on Infinite Earths event, giving us the infamous Superman holding her lifeless body drawing. She would stay gone until 2004, a time when DC was reworking / bringing back lots of their characters, and Kara was included, gaining popularity again. However, all the story arcs and setup she got until late 2011 got erased to make up for what was presented here. Issue number 1 starts with a small meteor shower arriving in Kansas, and among it is a space pod ship that winds up careening through the Earth, going from the USA to the former USSR. Let me just quickly see if that's even possible, and definitely highly unlikely. Out from the pod emerges a teenage Supergirl wearing her House of L attire, aka supersuit, with only one word I can think of for a description: why? The shorter hair was cool, but this costume is garbo for me. Kara finds herself in Siberia thinking that she's in a dream, right up until being attacked by some numbered armor-suited goons, but they don't realize who they're messing with until seeing her chest symbol. Too little, too late, because the sun arises, allowing Supergirl to realize she can shoot lasers from her eyes. Not many things can hurt her, and she's extremely strong, booting one guy probably to Kazakhstan. Some explosives tried to stop Supergirl next, so a retreat is chosen until the first wave of super hearing kicks in, which she responds to with a traumatic super scream. More fighting then commences, with Supergirl getting tackled and tossed around, but she's still able to tear apart a bunch of the armor suit foes, all while speaking in her native Kryptonian. A good early addition, since she obviously doesn't know any Earth language, and this is followed up by a needed early addition: Superman hitting the scene to see what the hell is going on. Issue number 2 first has a quick flashback to Krypton over 20 years ago, with Kara looking over a baby Kal-El, and it's one of the last memories she has. Back in real time, a fully grown Kal questions who Kara is in Kryptonian he's learned. Both ask why they are dressed like the other, and when Supergirl says her parents are Zor-El and Alora, Superman says his are Lara and Jor-El, meaning their fathers are brothers, making them cousins. He doesn't get the reaction he was looking for, getting punched through a row of trees and lashed out on big time. I swear, people from Krypton are required to fight upon meeting for the first time. A couple of guys in the numbered armor are seen recovering, one having been kicked to Mongolia. I was close enough earlier. And they are mentioning that what they came for in the first place has been recovered. This is shown to be Kara's pod, along with a special red crystal taken from inside it when it is seen being inspected in some kind of lab. As the Super Cousin battle carries on, Supergirl gets her first taste of X-ray vision, which Superman tries to explain among all her other abilities under a yellow sun. This warrants another freakout and assault attempt on him, so he has to hurl Kara into the air, wherein she discovers she can fly, but isn't real good at it right away, taking a fall that's broken by Superman. So she repays him with a massive kick that gets countered by a flying tackle. Their fight has made its way to China now, near a portion of the Great Wall where Kara tries to run away, only to be stopped by another wall in the form of her cousin's chest. Man, I really tried to make that not sound weird. Supergirl then surprise hits him when trying to talk to her again, resulting in a chunk of the Great Wall being destroyed in front of civilians, which finally stops the fight. Phew, finally. Lastly, Superman tells Kara on Earth they have the powers of world killers, an important term for later, and also that Krypton is gone for good. Hey, I'm your cousin, and we're on an alien planet now. Oh, and our world died. Issue number 3 has the art change hands to Bill Reinhold and Paul Mounts, and opens on the cousins from the House of L having one of the most super uncomfortable chats ever. Seriously, if you were Superman, could you imagine having to tell your cousin their friggin' planet is gone and now they're on a new one with the power of Titans? Obviously, Kara doesn't want to believe a word that he's saying, asking if he has proof, which he does have on the Collector of Worlds' spaceship data logs probably, among other things. But for the moment, Supes wants to figure out why Supergirl believes she was on Krypton 3 days ago with him as a baby, also while explaining to her that he tries to protect the Earth in a rather reductive way. Kara has heard enough and flies away with one final message from Cousin Cal. She is not ready for this planet. Better believe that. New 52 Earth is nuts. Supergirl returns to her pod's crash site only to find it missing, but a hologram of young business and tech magnate Simon Tycho appears, showing that he now has it thanks to agreements he has made with governments to retrieve anything that's fallen from space. Hard to believe in many ways, but alright. Simon is eventually able to lure Supergirl into space where his massive base is, and he is seen inside suspecting that she may just be the same race as Superman, speaking about it to his assistant, Miss Thorne. Once on Tycho's spaceship, Supergirl is ambushed by mechanical butterflies with lasers. How whimsical. But after proving to be no threat, Simon says, "Release the brain." No, not brain created in Doom Patrol. That's just brain. Here we have the brain. Question is, whose actual brain was used inside this 50s B horror movie creation? While it does battle with Supergirl, Tycho gets a call from the US president with more talk of world governments giving rights to space to private enterprises. Who is this guy and why has he never been mentioned or seen in the New 52 books I've reviewed? I don't know and I don't care. The brain ends up holding its ground well, so Supergirl tries to fly it out into space, which kinda works, leaving her foe motionless, and when bashing back into Tycho's ship, she finds her pod, but because it's laced with kryptonite, that's a wrap, folks. Issue number 4 begins on Simon's ship with him running tests on Kara's supersuit and fixing the brain after recovery. Meanwhile, he has her in a test tube next to her pod so the kryptonite continues to poison her. Next thing we know, a guard named Jacobs, now out of armor, that also was seen in issue number 1, kind of feeling bad for Supergirl, pretty much goes rogue, knocking out a colleague of his so he can free her. Too bad for them, Tycho saw it coming and promptly orders Jacobs to be executed. An aggressive guard named Henderson then rifle whips Supergirl, drawing some blood, but that just gets her real pissed, going on to flatten a squad of guards and retrieve her costume, while Simon says lock the place down. More guards get their asses kicked before Tycho is targeted, but he's got an ace up his sleeve in something called a Sunstone. That red crystal seen earlier, which is pretty much an intel drive found in her pod. Supergirl is told to settle down or it's toast, so her counteroffer is an X-ray assisted laser blast, which Simon thinks was poorly aimed at him, except she was actually aiming for the ship's central controls core, causing an interior meltdown. This allows Supergirl to snatch the Sunstone and take off, which is also what most of the crew aboard does, but Tycho wants to go down with the ship, resulting in a big explosion, later seen to have reduced him to just a torso and a head that was somehow grafted to the brain. Mega yikes. He's not that upset though, because guard Henderson got some of Kara's blood on him, which is still there, and this sends him into a diabolical giggle. Issue number 5 kicks off with Kara analyzing the slightly damaged Sunstone and deciding to venture into deep space, looking for any answers to help her out, eventually finding a hexagonal warping device that she enters hardly without thought. The thing could have been a galactic meat grinder or so much worse. But alas, Kara is spat out in the vicinity of a blue sun where she discovers a small fragment of Krypton floating beside it. Argo City, more specifically the place Kara grew up, however it's empty of life and in ruin. Can you even imagine how emotionally brutal this would all be? Supergirl zips to her former residence where her family's study and lab are went to so the Sunstone can be activated, and out from it emerges a projection of her father, Zor-El, explaining everything about how he sent her away to survive, but he also was developing force field tech that would protect Argo City when Krypton was destroyed. Zor-El is then interrupted halfway through the recording, getting shot by an unseen source, and the Sunstone breaks apart right after. Kara has the appropriate reaction to all of this, screaming in sorrow and smashing whatever she can, which alerts an imposing female alien to her location called Rain. Not spelled R-A-I-N, the other way. She gets hit with Supergirl's signature bash before trying to conversate move, but it's quickly established that this alien is tough and can request a conversation by stern means. Problem is, one of the first things Rain says is Zor-El was doing illegal experiments at one time, prompting Supergirl to want to fight again, and she seems to do better than most, destroying Rain's sword. But this is the single victory she's getting here because due to the lack of yellow sun around, Supergirl has become weaker, enabling Rain to overpower her and give us an info dump about the World Killers. Remember those things Superman spoke of earlier? She regards them as being living creatures opposed to machines, I guess? Plus, all the answers to any questions about them could be found on Krypton, which eventually took her to Earth where she began tracking Supergirl. How does Rain even know all of this? Well, as she leaves Kara pinned up to die, she says that she is in fact a world killer. Issue number 6 starts with Kara still being pinned and defeated, while having a flashback to some days of physical training back on Krypton, losing a fight to a robot that doesn't even have legs. So Zor-El interrupts to give some advice, which carries over into the now, as spirits and auras of both her parents help remind Kara to never lose strength. Fantastic timing as well, because right after Supergirl frees herself and gets out of there thanks to this assistance, Argo City falls into that blue sun. Sheesh, the traumas just keep on a-rollin' here. Back on Earth, Rain has returned, landing in New York, and immediately grabs a cop, demanding that he assemble this world's protectors so she can challenge them. First up is the US Army, posing zero threat, but as I've said before in other videos, an attack like this would surely attract other heroes, no? But instead, only Supergirl shows up for round 2 with Rain, also pretty much making her first official public appearance. Rain has more cryptic words about the World Killer's connection to Krypton and now Earth, and then she reveals that she's got access to the same force field tech that Zor-El used to spare Argo City, and uses it to trap New York City right as she transports 3 other World Killers in that have survived. Whoa. Issue number 7 is the last one in this volume, beginning with some questions being answered, such as the World Killers having been stolen alien embryos from varying species, and this was thanks to an unknown group of Kryptonians that conducted experiments in a secret lab away from their planet. Now fully grown, this new trio beside Rain all appear female. Their names are Diamax, Flower of Heaven, and Perilous, with their power sets being listed while taking on Supergirl. She holds off the quartet, avoiding crushing blows, energy assaults, and poison tendrils, with a special ability that she's seen to have used in issues 3 and 5, Solar Energy Outbursts. A bit of classic laser vision also helps, as Kara takes Rain one-on-one, with the fight going from the Empire State Building to the New York County Supreme Court building. More impressed than anything else, Rain offers Supergirl a chance to join her now, but also mentions something that surely could have been left out. The only thing that's capable of killing a world killer is another world killer. Supergirl's response to this is a resounding no, smashing Rain with a car as an answer, so Flower of Heaven and Perilous try again to take her down, being joined by Diamax popping up from the underground with a subway car as a weapon. Yes, this fight has been pretty epic, but pages are running out, so Supergirl finishes things up by using Perilous's poison tendrils on Diamax, forcing Rain to call a retreat due to needing all of them alive. But as she leaves, she claims that there is a 5th world killer out there. Dun-dun-dun. Regardless, Kara looks on at this as a win, standing tall on her new home. Alright. I'm gonna start off with the dialogue first. It mostly consists of 4 things. Superman having to tell Kara a whole lot of distressing shit in a small amount of time, and he sounds like he does in other titles he stars in. Tycho is a believably rich, narcissistic, evil nutjob. Rain is quite a tortured but seemingly cunning soul that serves as a major exposition source, and Supergirl's speech bubbles consist of survival thoughts, huge conflict, and beyond shattering realizations. Among every New 52 hero, she 100% is in the top 5 for those who went through the most hardships. For the plot, this is pretty much Supergirl from scratch. No ties to Earth yet, not an established hero, no English, and a lot of setting up for rather shady Kryptonian history which remained center point for most of this title's run. You really feel the pain and confusion she goes through with this excellently paced opening story. Not until the last page could a breath of relief come for her. There was also some good original characters. I liked the World Killers and was glad they would come back. Same with Simon Tycho, although him being a supposedly 28-year-old trillionaire with some sort of big company, yet he's never mentioned elsewhere in the New 52, is nonsense. There was an Irish girl seen in issue number 5 who's not original, and she'll be seen much more in volume 2. I'll just say for now that she's a favorite villain of mine. With the art, I've already said my piece on Kara's costume, and aside from her also looking a bit orangutan-ish at times, that's all I can mention for the not so high points. Again, I liked the World Killer's designs, the longer fight sequences flowed together well, the batch of background work for the spot Supergirl encounters give a great touch to things. The whole art style looks as if pastel color tools were used, and that just adds to so many of the different amazing styles among the event. That will be all for today's review, and if you've watched until the end here, I want to personally thank you for that, and to please like, share, and subscribe. Please follow me on all my social media platforms, and to please join me next time for Stormwatch Volume 1.